Hi, welcome to Chats, the lifestyle show with a disability twist. I'm your host, Pauline Victoria, and on today's episode, we're going to get to know two gentlemen who, through the hand of fate, are living their passion and their purpose. Tim Wambach and Mike Berkson are the creators and stars of the two-man show Handicap This. Besides being two really cool guys, these gentlemen know how to break down barriers and explore the humanity in us all. So please open up your minds and your hearts to Tim and Mike. Hi, Tim.
Thanks.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, Pauline. For
How are
those
you?
that you don't know, I'm Tim.
And I'm Mike.
Very good. Thank you for clarifying that. I wanted to just start off by getting to know you two better. I know we've gotten a chance to get to know each other via Facebook here and there, but and so far, I love you guys. You're amazing. I look forward to attending a show in the future.
Awesome.
So
Should bring us to Hawaii. We'd love
I
that.
should. I'm gonna have to get the details on how to get what you need in order for you to come here.
We'll talk offline about that.
Okay. So, but for our audience who's watching, I'd like them to get to know you better via this interview. So, can you tell me a little bit about how you two met and how your relationship evolved?
Sure.
It was many years ago.
It was 2001, and I was hired to be Mike's one-on-one aide. So it was over 10 years ago, and through the years, our relationship, our friendship strengthened and bonded, and
it became more than a friendship. It became a brotherhood. You like that?
Exactly. So it started off as me being his one-on-one aide, and then it just kind of grew exponentially from Evolved, exactly.
Okay, so how many years ago was that?
It was 11 years ago. This summer was 11 years.
It feels a lot longer than that.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and then so you guys met, you were his caregiver, and that relationship evolved to more of a friendship or brotherhood, as Mike just said. How did Handicap This come about from that relationship?
That's a great question. It's as things evolved, the way that I'll take it back was in 2005. I had this crazy idea to take Mike and his twin brother, David, to Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And that on that trip, they would fly back to Chicago. We're from Chicago. And I would run back. I would run back to raise awareness for cerebral palsy, to raise awareness for how Mike lives, and then also to show people what was possible, because before I came up with that crazy idea, I wasn't a runner. So that really...
And neither was I, by the way. And I'm still not. Go on.
So that really was the force shift, you could say, that kind of put the domino that fell to bring everything else after that.
The turning point.
So a few people came with me on that run. Dave Kanicki and Dan Joyce were two people that came with me, and through the friendship and just camaraderie that we had built up on that run, we decided to do something when we came back from the run, and then we started the Keep On Keeping On Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization where we help those who are living with severe physical handicaps. We purchased hospital beds, wheelchairs. We're currently putting an elevator in a home that has 3 children in wheelchairs. So that's kind of what our mission is to help others. And then from the foundation, Mike and I were like, you know what? A lot of people would ask Mike and I to come and speak, and we would kind of speak, tell our story. And then Mike and I, the audience has always loved us. And
we're a couple of hams. So we thought, hey, we could do a show like this. And we didn't know anything about shows or theater.
Yeah, so what ended up happening is we reached out to a friend of ours, Molly Mulcrone, and we said, hey, we got this idea. Here's, I wrote a book called How We Roll. And then, we gave her the book. She would interview us and talk to us. And we're like, we want to have a show that is about our relationship. We don't necessarily want it to be Tim meets Mike, Mike inspires Tim. And then, instead of it being a chronological story,
in vignettes,
it's
representing our relationship and the thing we learned.
Exactly. So it's a series of vignettes, like Mike said.
But there's a story. There's an arc.
There's an arc, and it's not like they're skits or it's taking you on a journey.
There's a thread.
There's a thread.
That's the word.
And
Thread.
what would you say the thread is?
Our relationship is the thread. Just the way that we care for each other, and in our relationship has sprouted out to help so many other people. So it's kind of like how we've been able to do it. And it's almost kind of like saying, if we can make a difference in people's lives, if we can be up here telling our story, you can do the same thing. I'm not saying necessarily everyone needs to have a stage show, but everyone can do something in their life.
I think they should. I think everyone should have a stage show, but he's right. And I think the other thread, we have a motto that we say. We have two mottos. We have improvise, adapt, and overcome, and we have other one is judgment not allowed.
Right. And I was going to ask that later on in the interview, but you guys, it just naturally flows here. I think all of us can take a role in breaking down the barriers, which I believe is what Handicap This is meant to do. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Indeed.
Yeah, because the thing is, when we first started this, I guess Mike and I came at it in two different ways. I came at it as wanting to educate the able-bodied community. And Mike, what did you want to do?
I wanted to empower the handicapped community.
And so what happens is, not only are the able-bodied educated, and not only are the handicapped community empowered, but really what happens is everyone comes together, and it's not a this or that.
We eliminate the difference.
It's a we instead of a them, or
then you and me, it's we, or them and us, it's we.
Right. And so, you mentioned that, you hope that everyone can do this, which is to break down barriers in their own way. What ways would you suggest that people with disabilities or people without disabilities can do that in their own way at everyday lives?
Just strike up a conversation with someone. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way. There's tons of ways that people can make a difference. One, obviously what we did, we started a foundation. We started a nonprofit organization. Anyone can start an organization. If you don't want to start one, or you don't feel that you know enough, you can volunteer for an organization. So that would be, my first thought would be, find a cause that resonates with you and volunteer for that organization, because people, organizations need help. And if that cause resonates with you, you're going to be a genuine volunteer, and that's what's going to help the cause further. So,
well said.
Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. Okay, so I noticed the title of the show is Handicap This, and the disability community has somewhat tried to get away from the word handicap, or there's just different terminologies that people have used. What's your take on political correctness?
Well, we don't like political correctness. I hate political. He has a strong dislike. I have a tangible hate. And I mean that in the most positive way I can. What do you say?
Yeah. I think when people are politically correct, it loses
their honesty.
Well, you're trying to hide something, or you're trying to force something when you're politically correct. What we do is
you're trying to put it into a box almost.
And what we do is we try to open that box. We don't want
eliminate the box.
Eliminate the box. That's even better.
Yes.
And politically correctness is just I think it sometimes does more harm than good. And what we've tried to do is, you mentioned about the word handicap. Mike actually doesn't like the word disability.
It doesn't mean I can't do something. You are disassociating from everybody else. Handicap doesn't mean you have trouble with something, but it doesn't mean you can't do something. It's like a handicap in golf. It doesn't mean you can't golf. It just means that there's an aspect of your game that isn't very good. There's an aspect of my life that is difficult, but it doesn't make me I can do everything I want to do. Some things are harder than others, and other things I can't do, but it's not set in stone what I can't do. And I think that's what the word disabled does. It gives it a concrete. Oh, you're disabled. So we have to get you to a point where you seem able to do things. If you're handicapped, it's kind of like you're working through something, but you're not trying to change someone.
Mm-hmm. So probably the premise, even just having the title handicap, this is already breaking down the barriers that people use to kind of protect themselves or protect um, feelings and get down to the heart of the matter.
Right, and I think ultimately what it means is, it's kind of like we're saying, handicap this, like meaning just there is no handicap, there is no disability. It's a person, it's an individual.
If I may be so bold,
please.
It's a for lack of a better term, it's a middle finger to stereotypes, because I think we're not denouncing the idea of someone being or wanting to be referred to as disabled or want to see as disabled and don't want to see the handicap. It's a nice catalyst to kind of prepare the audience for what they're gonna see. Because if I would never see a show called Disabled This, but I would see a show called Handicap This, because it pops. It gets you there's a hook. And alongside that, I think you've seen it, but you know what our logo look like. And our logo is a handicap symbol with the no smoking or the X out or the Ghostbusters or whatever you want to call that shape. And that's just another way to reinforce getting rid of stereotypes.
Exactly.
Right. It's you guys have a YouTube channel, and I was looking through the YouTube channel, and one of the first things I saw was this spoof on bringing sexy back.
Right.
and so what I've noticed is that you guys use a lot of humor in everything you do regarding Handicap This, whether it be a video people can find on YouTube or in your show. How has humor affected your attitude in dealing with your handicaps?
Well, I think for Mike and I, like just when we're together, I don't think there's ever been one day that we've been together in over 10 years, 11 years now.
When we didn't laugh.
We didn't laugh.
Or I didn't make you laugh.
Well, just that we didn't laugh.
I made you laugh 3 times in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's Mike has a great cunning sense of humor and
a biting wit.
See, it just so we always laugh. And the thing is, like, if I come to Mike's house or whatnot, and he's like maybe in the bad mood or just is feeling down, I try to make him laugh, and then he laughs, and then he does the same thing for me if I'm having a bad day, or if something sometimes something will go wrong and I'll have a bad phone call with someone or whatever. And then Mike will say something that will pick up my spirits, and it kind of works both ways. We both do it to each other.
It's a give and take, and there's not one situation that's happened to me that I don't think is fun. I think everything is funny. I think that the one
Here, why don't you tell Pauline the story about the doctor? This happened just a couple months ago with the Kleenex.
Oh, so I gotta remember.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I gotta remember the details of the story. I know.
Do you want me to tell it then?
No, I know the story. Basically, I went to the doctor, which I do a lot, and I think
it was just you had.
I couldn't remember the reason, but anyway, whenever he comes in, I sneeze or cough, as I often do, and he gives me a Kleenex, and he hands it. He
tries to give it to him.
Yes. I just look at him, and I've never had this happen to like say this to me. The doctor waited a second, and it finally dawned on him, and he said to me, and this made me laugh for the entire day. Man, am I a jackass? And it's stuff like that. I wish I could think of like another example. Because that everybody thought was funny. I wish I could think of like a worse situation where you wouldn't know. What I try to do is shed light, make light of the worst situation. And some people don't like that. But I think they don't like it because they're not used to it. Because your average person is not going to make a joke about, they're not going to be self-deprecating. And that's how I would describe my sense of humor is self-deprecating. And it's a way to make myself feel better. It's a way to empower myself through my ability to see the humor and stuff. And I think that's what we try to do during the show is have humor mixed with the serious, because a lot of the humor comes out of serious things, and a lot of serious things can be dealt with humor. So that's what I try to do, and that's what I do anyway, even if I wasn't doing the show. So it's a very natural component to my life, and therefore it's really natural as a piece of the show.
Right. Yeah. And I think, for me, I love to laugh, and I'm so grateful that I have more of a lighthearted attitude towards things. But I find that humor in my life levels the playing field with people. And so it brings them, takes the discomfort out of what they may feel and brings it down to a human level.
Exactly, and I think that's what we really do in the show is most people when they come to the show, they don't really know what to expect. And right off the bat, we hit them laughing, and they're laughing throughout the whole thing. I mean, there's definitely serious parts of the show, but I would say that laughter is a huge part of our show. And people, when they're done with the show, they go on an emotional roller coaster, and they laugh, and they feel so good when they come home, when the show's over. They just feel like they just went on this emotional journey, and they just feel so empowered and just feel like they can, they're happy. They're happy.
And I also like to improvise, which is one of my, not to do my own horn, but
you just did.
Yes, I did, but I promised they would not to do my own horn.
Doesn't
But yeah, like I like to improvise, and sometimes I go either too fast or we do the audience, we do it for all different kinds of audience. So sometimes I have to be reminded that I can go off book as much, because it's going to test when I go off book, you never know what I'm going to say.
Right, and so basically Mike tends not to ad-lib as much the younger the audience. The older the audience, he ad-libs more, so you can take for what it's worth.
So if you go to a show and you see it once, you come back and see it again, it's going to be probably different.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've never done the same show twice. We've never done the same speech twice. So we're always making improvements, making little tweaks.
Whether that be spur of the moment type of thing, like in the show or in the actual script.
I mean the majority of the show always is the same.
The
skeleton's always the same.
It's not like you go and you're gonna get new scenes, but
we've done that before.
Oh yes, we have.
But basically, I guess what we're trying to say is that there is audience participation as well. So we try to keep the show as fresh as possible, and we're always making it better.
So you will benefit from the show the more time you see it. I think it's the way.
A lot of our fans have seen the show at least locally multiple times.
I think a lot of them want to see it, as well as that we know, to see what we changed, and not to do my own horn again, but to see what I'm going to say and how Tim's going to react to what I say. Because we can't duplicate. It's odd. We need the audience. Without the audience, it doesn't the audience is a major part of what makes this show great. What do you?
We definitely feed off the audience. Like the biggest audience that Mike and I have been in front of was 1,200 students in the University of Illinois, and we did the show for 1,200 students, and it was incredible. I mean, it was just a sea of people, and
Yes.
Mike had them rolling in laughter, and we took them on the journey. And when that many people are like giving you positive feedback, it was just incredible.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be electrifying.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tim, I can see from your perspective how your part helps educate the able-bodied community with seeing, like, look, Mike is just like every other guy, intelligent, funny, he is like the best friend you want. Um, and there might be some bumps in the roads and doing things, but it's still, he's still just like everybody else. But
Right.
Mike, how does the show empower people with disabilities, and what does it empower them to do?
I think it empowers them. Two things. One, and I think this is like the basic one, but I think this is the most important one because it's gonna occur on a daily basis. It's that let those people know that they're not the they're not the only one they're not the only one going through it. There's someone else that that shared their experience. And that right there, I think, is really powerful.
Give you an example. We did a show over the summer in Bloomington, Illinois, and we had some fans who read an article about us in Vincennes, Indiana. Okay, so it's about a 4-hour drive, and they are, I guess you could call them, it's Kelly and Carla, and they are kind of like the female equivalent of us. They
That's a scary story.
so Carla is Kelly's caregiver, like I am. I think I got that right. I hope I did. And they came to see the show, and they made a whole weekend out of it. They drove 4 hours. They spent a night in a hotel and whatnot. But anyway, so after the show, we met with them, and they were saying, like, what you guys did, like, that's our story.
Yeah,
our story is your story.
There were a lot of parallels.
And that's what happens, I think, with that, is that people see the similarities and the parallels, like Mike said, and they can relate to it. And then once they can relate to it and they see what we've done, that empowers them to do whatever they want to do with their life. They can say, you know what, I can, be XYZ or whatever it is. And I think that's what's really powerful, is that it gives a voice to a community that so often is unheard.
Right. And so often unheard to each other. I know for me, I mean,
Sure.
I completely relate to that. When I saw Nick Vujicic, he's a gentleman without arms and legs from Australia, and he happened to be in Hilo of all places. And I went and saw him, and I was 32 years old when I saw him, and it was the first time I heard my story. And so, it's not, that's one of the purposes I wanted to bring out with Chair Chats, is to show that, look, there are other people like you with your story, to validate you, to connect you, and to also show you that what's possible for one is possible for all.
Yep.
And
exactly.
so, I thank you so much for doing that in your own way, and I think we all can do that in each other's way. So, and unfortunately, thank God for technology. It allows us to, make this big world a little bit smaller, so our voices can be heard and felt a little bit more across the ocean, in my case.
Exactly, yeah. Yes. 5 hours behind us.
Yes. Yes, no matter what time. All right, Tim and Mike, I would like to hear from each of you. Tim, what have you heard? What have you learned from Mike? And Mike, what have you learned from Tim on this journey of 11 years?
You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, you go first.
I have learned not to, I have learned to take every day step by step and take everything with take everything in stride and don't be afraid to not try something, even though it's hard, even though it's difficult. Just be yourself and go for your dreams, no matter how big or small.
Beautiful.
You're welcome.
I think what Mike has taught me probably more than anything else is perseverance. And before I met Mike, I thought I knew what perseverance was, but I didn't. Mike just has something inside him that he's able to greet each day with a smile and be for me, he's kind of like that, a light for me. He's shown me that, I guess the best way to describe it is Mike has inspired me to do more with what I have. And I always, looked at my situation and felt that, I know that I can be doing more. And he, I guess in a way that he probably doesn't even know, he continues to push me for me to inspire other people because he's inspired me.
Thank you.
What a beautiful cycle. And now the show is being used to inspire others.
Yes.
And what has doing the show taught you? I mean, you've been all over the country and seen thousands of people. What has the show taught you?
Just that we're doing, this is going to sound really simple, but just that we're doing the right thing and we're doing something good. We're changing the world one audience
at a time,
group at a time.
Well, yeah, I think what it's taught us the most is that our message needs to be heard. Every audience we've been to has just been blown away by the show, and standing ovations and rave reviews, whatever you have. But really, more importantly, we touch their hearts, and that's something that I can honestly say that that's what we do because people have told us. We've gotten letters.
I think we could tell that even without the letters. I think that's part of that goal for me. We get the letters and we get the testimonials and we get the reviews and we get the standing ovations and that's all nice and really good, but just internally give me a warm, and give me a sense that I'm doing something with what I have.
Yeah. And then I think, on another level, I think the show has kind of taught Mike and I just to persevere even that much more because there's always something happens and you just got to, we got to put our message into effect for us. Doing when we're traveling or something like that.
It's kind of it's a quote Ferris Bueller. If the world moves pretty fast and if you don't stop to admire it or not, you're gonna miss it. And I think that's kind of what we do. It's we know that life is going. We know that life is going around. We know that life is going around all around us, and we want to empower people to stop and appreciate what they have and look for people that may not have what they have, but maybe help those people get to a point where they can lead a full life. And that's the thing. I think that's what's coming out of I think that's what comes out of the show.
Right. The last thing I would add to that is gratitude. I think that Mike and I are both grateful that we have the opportunity to make this type of difference, and we don't accept that lightly. We don't accept that lightly. That's a high responsibility, and something that we hold on dear to our hearts.
Yes. Well, to me, you guys are the humorous philosophers. So thank you for being deep and bringing light to the situation.
I love it.
What's next for Handicap This?
We have a couple of shows coming up August 31st and September 1st here locally in Chicago. We're going out to Cedar Rapids the week after that in Iowa. Thanks to our good friend Kent Stock. What's up,
Yay.
Kent?
Yay, Kent.
And then we're going to Owensboro, Kentucky to do 2 shows. And then October we have a couple shows on the board, and we're in talks with people from New York to California. So hopefully we're going to be going into all different places.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know you said we would talk offline, but on a serious note, if
Sure.
someone was watching this and they were inspired to bring Handicap This to their community, what
Yes.
is it that they would need to do to start the ball rolling?
Start the ball rolling first is they would have to contact me, and they can do that. They can find my number on the website, whatnot. So that first they have a conversation with me. I need to understand what they want to do. So and understand what kind of resources they have. Now, just to give you an example, probably the easiest fit for us are colleges. That's the easiest fit, meaning they have the space, they have the people usually, and they have the budget. So that's like the easiest swoop to fill is at a college. Now, I mentioned Cedar Rapids and our friend Ken Stock. Ken Stock had his he works for a bank, and the bank is sponsoring us to come. Wow. So you can get businesses that are in the community to get involved to sponsor us to come out. So there's all these different ways that people can bring us out. The main thing is get in contact with me, and 2, you got to be creative. That's what our whole life is about, being creative, finding creative ways to get from point A to point B. So if you really want us to change your community, you got to get creative to bring us there.
Good. I hope a lot of people watching this resonate with this type of cause and work to bring you to more communities out in the country. Who knows? Maybe international.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Pauline. We really appreciate you interviewing us, because this is just another way for us to tell our story.
Yes.
Give me that website once again where people can get more information.
Sure. It's handicapthis.com. And we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. So that, I mean, you can find us in all those places.
Anywhere and everywhere.
And we're pretty active on social media. And, we're excited to continue to grow.
Okay. Good. Thank you guys so much for being on Chair Chats and sharing yourself openly with us and continuing to do what you guys do. Any last words you would like to say before we say goodbye?
Thank you very much, everyone that watches and listening, and we hope to bring the show to down near you, in particular Hawaii, because that just sounds like a lot of fun, and I'll leave that alone because we don't want to read between the lines about that. So just like I said, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk, and we hope to see you soon. And as always, handicap this and keep on keeping out of the world.
My parting words would just be like, don't accept average. Be bold and live your purpose.
You should trademark these things.
I know, right? I don't think I could say anything more or better than that. So with those parting words, I want to thank you for watching Chair Chats. And I hope that this show has encouraged you to find your passion and live your purpose, as Tim says. Thank you for tuning in. And until we meet again, be blessed.